Well, good morning. Why am I on the good morning today?
Well,
Good morning. Why am I one moment.
I think we're getting a feedback.
Yeah. Good morning. Sorry. Uh Good morning. So today we will be we will be changing roles. I will be presenting Suzanne Rajkumar. She is CEO and founder of Mujeres con Propósito and CBC Codebreaker. And she's an educator, entrepreneur, podcaster, and content creator. She's originally from Trinidad and Tobago, but has lived for more than 25 years, if I'm not mistaken, here in Honduras. And she will give us a workshop today about Mujeres Kintsugi HN, a journey to regeneration. Welcome, Suzanne. Thank you so
Thank
much
you. Thank
for
you.
giving us this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you. Wow, thank you very much to our Regenera Travel Summit community. Today is our day 5, and for some reason today the internet has decided to be a little sketchy with us, but we're hoping that we're going to have a smooth presentation. So welcome to my workshop. And when I met Fiona, and she mentioned to me the concept of the invitation of if I would like to participate in Regenera Travel Summit. I think she would have seen some of the work I was doing, bringing out stuff on Mujeres Kintsugi HN. And it just seemed that everything coincided and aligned. And here I am. So this journey of mine started in 2019. And in 2019, what I want to share with you guys is how Mujeres Kintsugi was born in 2024 and how it connects to the concept of regeneration that we have been seeing throughout the summit. So, the art of healing and transformation is about brokenness, embracing brokenness and turning it into beauty. What do I know about that? Well, 2019 was a year in when I could say the perfect little picture of life that I had broken or shattered into a million pieces. When that occurred, I needed to figure out who I was, how to be me. The life that I imagined and the life that I was living were two different things, and I had to sort myself out. I felt very much the broken vessel. The process of regeneration that came into my life, the process of renewal, growth, becoming stronger, more alive, more whole after loss or damage, these things, it's like, how do you go from the brokenness to renewing? And I am what you would describe a faith based art educated entrepreneur. Faith based because my beliefs are grounded in the teachings of Jesus Christ. And that relationship literally has been the glue or has been that gold that brought my vessel. So if we know anything of kintsugi and you look online, you will hear about the Japanese philosophy of wabi sabi. It means finding beauty in imperfection. The art of kintsugi is where you take the broken vessel and you literally put it back together with gold, a special kind of element that was created in order to put it back together. And it can be done in platinum, silver, or gold. Well, I would say that that gold for me was my relationship with Jesus Christ. And what was birthed from 2019 to 2024 is, I would say, a philosophy of resilient living. A philosophy, yes, that is based on my walk, but it was not only my walk, it was my walk together with other women that I met along the way. And my entire process can be told in art. So, art from the very, very beginning was a part of what it is I was doing. I would see these images in my mind and I needed to, like, I had markers and I had pens and I had a book. And anyone who knows me would describe, you see, Sue, she has her bag or her car, there's always a book and a pen and colors. Because whenever art became a love language between God and myself. And that led me to healing, not by erasing my scars, but by allowing them to become the seeds of a new life. Now, I say that now with a strength and a smile and a certain amount of strength, that joy, because I recognize how I have been regenerated. But I want to share what that journey looks like for everyone and invite you that there is more to this. There's a deeper walk with it. And I do that through different kinds of workshops. So if you are in a place of where you have been or are going through the brokenness, let's see where you are on the journey and how, if possible, you can be part of, we can work together. So, what does the journey look like? The journey of regeneration, as I experienced it from 2019 to now, came in four parts. The break, 2019, learning about infidelity. Infidelity was something that was really, really um, hard to process. It brought trauma, it brought loss, it brought wounding, it brought a crisis into our marriage. And you do not, when you are working through these things, I think one of the hardest things of that was confronting betrayal, the brokenness of trust, the brokenness of how do you rebuild when something is shattered. I use the word shattered because that's what the wounding felt like for me. It was the shattering of a concept, a vision, a view, um, auditing everything that I had been living. What is true? What is not? Where does this go from here? How, what did I see? What did I not see? Really and truly, I don't think I focus so much on who as opposed to me. How did I miss it? How did I get stuck in this process? What happened before to bring me here? So it wasn't so much the shattering as how did we get to this point? And how did I allow myself to get to this point? How did I allow myself to be in this space? So really, there was a lot of self-criticizing, a lot of lack of forgiveness, a lot of questioning my motives. The breaking of trust was really difficult. Not being able to trust a person that you made a promise with. And not only that, was someone that I had said to, if ever our relationship is not enough for you, you know, please have the courage to let me know. And rather than hurt each other, we could start over and we could start new lives. I think I have always been the kind of person that I wanted to avoid that kind of hurt. In my walk with Jesus Christ, I think who has been more betrayed historically than anything else, it is the Christ figure. Jesus's life, the people that he loved and he served, eventually were the ones that chose him over Barabbas, chose Barabbas over him, sorry. And in that story of where the same people where he performed miracles, the same people that he served, the people that he loved, the people that he came to save, were the people that put him upon the cross. That resonated in the sense that I walked into marriage believing that it was a place of I chose marriage. It was not something that was forced upon me. I thought I would have been independent feminist the majority of my life. I did not think that I would, marriage was for me, but eventually it became something that I wanted. I did not think that I admired my mom's large family. I thought I wanted to have a lot of kids, but I didn't want to necessarily go through the pregnancy to have them. There are a lot of dreams of a young girl that materialized, and Honduras became a place of building dreams. It became a place where most people were exiting. But in 2000, when we came to this country, from having 24/7 internet and cable and access to technology, I entered into a country that was now on the emerging elements of that. I literally was in this country when the cell phones were introduced, and suddenly everyone was able to communicate. When communication became available to everyone at all levels of society in Honduras, you started seeing transitions, you started seeing new businesses, you started seeing opportunities arise where there was none before. So, communication has been a radical factor in the growth of Honduras during and over the last 25 years. Right now, coming back to the breaking and the wounding and the hurt, from 2019 moving through, I felt God tell me that there was a door open. I was invited to participate on a radio program. And when I was on that radio program and I was sharing my experiences, what brought me to Honduras, etc., um, I am a person who has had my own personal God encounter. And we were talking about that, and it became so refreshing about the strength that that God encounter was giving me to guide my life and the decisions that I was making. That in part, I will not lie, I had been angry because I thought, well, Lord, if I know you, you know me, how come this situation happened? Um, Coming to terms with understanding that it would become a process of development. It would become a journey, literally, um, from the child to a woman. The whatever immaturities or infantile elements in my personality was going to go through a process of the choices. My first option was, I want to leave. I want to run. I want to go. And because of my relationship with the Lord, it was, that's not the option. Different things changed, and I had to stand in a place of hurt and rebuild. First was acceptance of that. As you can see in this journey, I have the break, which is the wounding, the loss, and the crisis phase. That was 2019. The gold to fill the shattered pieces, the healing, the faith, and creativity, that was something that is integral to my process of regeneration. The kintsugi art really truly resonated with that putting together and the fire of the Lord in my life to be able to facilitate that. What I do in my workshops and is that I present my relationship with the Lord and how it occurred, not for people to imitate, but for women like me who may have a creative language with the Lord. Not everyone can hear or read or they're traditional ways. My way of communicating with God was not traditional. It was through art. I would see pictures, I would draw them, and then the pictures, the elements would stand out. My natural curiosity would lead me to, what do these elements have to do? What does this picture mean? It would lead me to scripture. And in that moment, that encounter between art and scripture, oof, there was just love, and a constant assurance, I am with you. A constant assurance that you're not alone in this process. My family in Honduras, I have a bonus family, and I have two little boys that was born out of my marriage. It was beautiful to see these kids grow up and become who they are. But it was not easy. And sometimes the kind of heart that God gave me, I am firm. I can be, oh my goodness. Sorry if you hear a voice coming across. It is a router being reset. So I am hoping that the noise of Alexa does not, my goodness. Um, okay, so we have that interruption. This is live, so this is happening right now. Um, what I was saying about the healing and the faith and the creativity, these art, faith, and community provided the gold that fills the wounds. From the radio program, whatever matured, the radio host said, we need more of this. And the radio host invited me to be part of their program. He said, create a program. We need to hear more of this. The audience was connected with us, and we started off on online radio. In 2019, Mujeres con Propósito 11 was born. Mujeres con Propósito 11, Women of Purpose 11. The 11 is based on Ezekiel 11, because in the midst of my crisis, the word that God was giving me was time, speak of what I am doing in your life. Yesterday, we had an amazing presentation from Guatemala, and Nicole spoke of the importance of meditation in her process. Well, she says, I don't do anything without having that time, even if it's 10 minutes or 5 minutes. Well, for me, I could not move through my day if I did not have that time to sit with the Lord and to be able to speak, to be able to um get that word, that know that like Moses, I said, I will not go forward if you are not with me. How do I stay in this country on my own without you? And the Lord definitely demonstrated he was there through communicating with me through art. The art continued to give messages. The art continued to fill me with hope. And it is something that I realized I'm not alone in it. It led me to a community of other individuals who you look for the title prophetic art, and you will find people that communicate with art and communicate with scripture. And it is another language that is there. The vessel being restored part of the journey came in the I would say 2021, 22, 23, wholeness, identity, and dignity. These were all questions. And if you listen to Mujeres con Propósito 11, 11, you will hear that process. It literally documents what it is I was going through. The healed person is not the same as before. Scars are visible, yet they radiate a new beauty and meaning. Um, People, when in the moments when I felt most broken, most ugly, most horrible, I would encounter strangers in the supermarket or in at a just in the street, or if I was at an event, someone would come up to me, an elderly person or a very young child, and they would stand and they would speak of how lovely I was. And I thought, wow, I would find God in the community around me. I would see God in the kindness of people with me. And through the brokenness, he brought me into a place where I could begin to see my wholeness again. But this time, my wholeness was together with him. I think Suzanne Renuka Rajkumar shattered in 2019, and what was born again was a whole. I knew Christ before, but shattering with Christ is very different if you do not know Christ. It is like, what attitude would I have? How do I question? What is all of this? Every philosophical question that I could have asked, believe you me, I asked it of the Lord. The renewal, here we are, Regenera 2025 Travel Summit, a word that is connected to restoration. And when I sat down to think, what does regeneration have to do with Mujeres Kintsugi and the putting back together? Well, renewal in itself is growth, transformation, flourishing. And the word flourishing is the same as blooming. And if I could show you in this moment what my garden looks like, I have been obsessed with succulent plants. It is another way that the Lord speaks to me about what is in and around. And you will see, I've been fascinated with leaves, succulent leaves, and you can find it on TikTok, on any platform, Pinterest, leaves that drop. And when it appears to be dead, completely dead, literally roots start coming out of something that looks like there's no more life to it. It has been the most amazing metaphor of transformation and growth for me at this stage in my life, where I thought, like, where do I go? What happens now? Um, we built a life together. We did different things. My children are older. Everyone has their own life. What is there for Suzanne right now? And in that process, regeneration for me is not just about restoring, it is about transforming. So, what does the breaking or the wounding or the loss bring to you? If you are in this stage, we're looking at the trauma, illness, betrayal, hardship. These are the breaking points. These are the cracks in the vessel of our life. I would add disappointment. Disappointment is something that the Lord let me know that these are like the tiny, tiny hairline cracks that we don't realize eventually become bigger cracks. They've been there because perhaps we did something and someone didn't say thank you, or they didn't say, wow, that's, how lovely. No appreciation was showed. We don't communicate it, but we feel it, and the cracks begin internally, and we're not exteriorizing, we're not learning how to communicate, and because we don't find the words, it eventually turns into something that can become very toxic. And what we try to do in the Mujeres Kintsugi workshops or our Color with Me events, that is what I am doing, because that's what the Lord, He brought color back into my life. He brought this resurgence of life to me, this renewal of life. In this stage, generally when we're broken, the person acknowledges the pain instead of denying it. You know, um, sometimes we want to lash out, we want justice, we want our justice. I think my process lasted a little longer because in my hurt, I wanted my justice. And Christ sat with me and nursed me back while telling me that I am your justifier, not you, Sue. And all these different things. The Lord spoke to me through movies, books, different things that I was reading. And the message was always the same: forgiveness. Forgive, let go, let me, you and I work it through. The Lord and I would work it through. And I would bring those doubts to my podcast. I would share the things that were like, I shared when I was upset. I shared when I was strong. I shared when I was weak. It is there in that podcast because I speak of how God brought me through what I would consider one of the darkest periods of my life, and the way that the Lord did not let me go. I am not who I am without Christ Jesus in my life. And this is what Mujeres Kintsugi HN is about. HN for Honduras, because it is where I am. It is where I have been restored. The vessel being restored, the wholeness, the identity, and the dignity of it. A healed person is not the same. It's impossible to stay the same when you are transformed. The scars may be visible, yet they radiate something different, a new beauty, a new meaning. It's taken on a whole different sense for me. And this is where it mirrors the regenerative processes in nature. Forests after fires, cells after injury. If we think of cancer patients, if we think of the destruction we see when fire comes upon a place, and then in the midst of the blackness and the ash of some rain falls, and suddenly you see new shoots coming up, and then there's a whole new landscape that starts to form. Honestly, that's part of the Mujeres Kintsugi process. So let's talk a little bit about the gold, the filling, that fills the cracks and makes those cracks come alive. Kintsugi repairs with gold, platinum, or silver. The regeneration begins with seeds of renewal. Well, art, faith, and community became the gold that filled my wounds. I have this amazing group of women who are prayer warriors. I am part of that group. I will say hello to them. They are women. They are called the Lighthouse Women. These women stand tall. We do not always see eye to eye, but they have prayed with me. They have stood with me. Even when I did not want to pray, they still prayed. I thank God for every person that He put to stand with me. I have had people from close and far who have demonstrated that God has been with me in my walk. My faith has been a most amazing glue that holds all things together. And instead of hiding my scars, I gained the courage to testify about them, to speak of my testimonies and highlight them as my survival, as my renewal. And I feel like there are so many women that are going through a process of not being seen, that are trapped in the brokenness. And we want to be able to, with Mujeres Kintsugi and Color with Me events, be a safe space and be a community of practice for these women to come and feel the support that I felt in Christ. His presence will be there, but he will bring them into a community of women, friendship, art. They will rediscover who they are through the eyes of the Lord and see their beauty. This is what I invite people to be part of Mujeres Kintsugi. And a lot of the art that the Lord gave me, I went through a process. In the part of my brokenness, my finances took a huge hit. Um, I think if I had my financial prosperity, I don't think I would have been in Honduras. I think God knew very well to clip my wings, my financial wings. If I had how to move, I probably would have. But in clipping my wings and not being able to move, no matter how much I hit the gate, I had a new place to start over. I had to start over where I was like the forest fire and be that that new shoot growing up in the midst of what seemed destruction. And in that process, the Lord has transformed my business. I studied art at high school when I was younger, and I used to use it as part of my classes. I would not say that I am a classically trained artist in the way that other artists are and who are realists. My art comes from within, it's different. It comes from my relationship, it comes from my time alone with the Lord, it comes from flashes, elements, and the Lord has shown me warnings, alerts. He speaks to me when I draw something. It's like, okay, be aware. Okay, this is an alert. It takes me through a process. And I have learned to talk to the Lord this way, and I want to be able to do that for other women. Show them what that gold can be and be a community where they can feel safe and express themselves. Renewal part. Meeting women like Vienna, Josie, and other amazing women that are here in this country that despite the hardships of Honduras, despite the violence, despite the loss of losing people too early in life, be it to illness, be it to violence, be it to situations, whether it be domestic violence or violence of gangs, etc. Everyone in Honduras has experienced deep loss. There has been one kind of it or another, and there is a lot of healing that needs to happen. So, regeneration for me, it's not just about regenerative tourism, come into a community and slap a new title on it and make it different. No, it's about transformational tourism. It is about saying, I'm not only about me and my package, it's about me and the community. It's about how can I help? And I think I would recommend Nicole's presentation and Flor Gaona's presentation. If you would see, you can find them online, and you can also go to our site on regeneratravel.com, be part of our members areas, because only module one will be available for everyone during this time of the summit. But to access the others based on strategies and elements to go, you do need to invest in the entire summit. So when you look at what these women have done, they are examples of these women who started over with something different, that took something that most people would just ignore and literally bring it to a whole new life. That is transformational tourism. Regenerative tourism is transformational tourism, transforming communities, transforming persons, transforming situations, bringing joy despite sadness, bringing joy to areas out of disasters. Nicole did hers. She saw disasters, and from disasters ended up coming up with healing and horses and community, and not just that, connecting with people. Mujeres Kintsugi at She'eni first started with me connecting to God on a very intimate level, and then from that intimate level, sharing that to communicate with other women. The woman, for me, in the Mujeres Kintsugi journey of restoration, she emerges stronger, wiser, because she listens to her Lord, not herself, and she's capable of nurturing others through her testimony, which is what I try to do through the podcast Mujeres con Propósito 11. And that skill allowed me to be able to join with the Regenera Travel Summit team. And we have the podcast Regenerate with Purpose. So there are so many things that I did not know before, that through my process of learning, of healing, of forgiving, these are the things that we talk about in our Color With Me events. It's not just about sitting down and painting. It's an exteriorization. It's confronting our pain in a way that's gentle, loving, and supporting. It's a way that you're not alone. And sometimes what we can't say with words, we can say with colors. Um, it's just part of that part of life. It's just part, we have to process our pain. If we do not process our pain, it will take out its we will pay the price in our body. Our physical body screams and shouts. My physical body was screaming and shouting for things that I did not process, things that I did not say, things that now I have learned to find the way to say it. My tone of voice was changed. Where I thought I was speaking in a gentle tone, apparently the hurt would come through. I was not aware of it, but my anger, almost roots of bitterness, the being upset about what was happening, these things were coming through, as opposed to, hey, can we sit down and talk about this? I don't like how this situation made me feel. You did this, and I think that we need to talk about it. Can we sit at the table and talk without accusing, without being, without bringing up past hurts, to just have an honest, authentic conversation about what's going on. I am in the walk of my restorative processes, and restoration does not mean that everything stops there. Restoration is the beginning of something new. And like a beautiful little plant, how you take care of it, it will grow and blossom. And the process, as I have here, it becomes a collective empowerment. Her healing inspires community healing. And here I am, working community with Vienna and some of Josie, John, and all the other individuals that are part of Regenera Travel Summit. I have met and been able to talk to some amazing people doing work all around the world. So what are the principles of Mujeres Kintsugi HN workshops? Visibility over perfection. We honor scars rather than hide them. We find gentle ways to look at those scars, to recognize what are the lessons that we've learned. How do we transform this ugliness into beauty? And we do that guided by the word of the Lord and compassion. That is how we do that. Faith as gold. Spirituality and hope are the materials that make healing radiant. In my case, this is my testimony. This is the walk that I have been given. This is what brought me through and brings me through every day, that allows me to get up and share with my children, for them to go after their dreams, put their faith in the Lord. Lord will take them through everything and anything. Art is regeneration. Creative expression becomes a channel for inner renewal. I did not recognize that when I stopped practicing my art in Honduras, um, I let, very sillily, something that I thought I would never do, but I let comments of persons who did not understand the power of art affect my painting. it affected. Sometimes when toxic language is around you, be it rumors, be it gossip, be it persons who don't understand, they think they mean well, but sometimes the way that something is said, it can get under your skin. And sadly, I thought I had really great barriers against that, but apparently I did not. And at some point in time, maybe it came from people that I trusted. So perhaps that is how it was able to enter into it beyond my barriers, beyond my boundaries. So I've had to learn to reset new boundaries in order to allow me to protect my transformational self as I go through what I am doing now. But art, returning to my art, has been a way of breathing. My soul feels like it breathes again, and I am able to enjoy my process with the Lord, with color, with art, and Mujeres Kintsugi HN.com .org actually online. You can see the artwork, and we have prints and devotionals that are coming out that are on payhip.com. You can go to payhip.com, Mujeres Kintsugi HN, and you can see all the things, affirmations, devotionals, bilingual devotionals in Spanish and English, because I did not walk this walk alone. I walk this walk with Christ, and this walk has, it's a strength that can just pour into someone else and help them find their connection and help them move forward. Community as soil, just as regeneration in nature requires fertile ground, personal regeneration thrives in supportive communities. I have found that with persons of faith. I will not say that it's religion or church. I am talking about people who experience God as you experience God. In this case, people who love Jesus Christ as I love him, who have a passion for being authentic before him, a passion for preserving the integrity before the Lord. Are we perfect? No. No and no. Do we make mistakes? Yes. That is the beauty of living in Christ. He loves us even when we make mistakes. And he gives us, in Spanish they say jalar la oreja. He pulls our ear, gives us a little tug to say, you're being arrogant. He makes us reflect. In that quiet time, he says, no, you did not do that well. You did not represent me well. And we sit and we listen. If you love Christ, you will listen. You will hear when he says, I am sad because you did not represent me the way that I talk to you. And what I have learned, Lord, I want revenge for this or that. Nope. My God is not a God of vengeance. Christ is a manifestation of God's love, and destroying us as is it's not about destruction. It's about our reconstruction. It is about our rebirth in his love. And to love as Christ loved is to forgive as Christ forgave. Have I forgiven? If that question is there, it has not been easy. I am trying. There are many things that I have forgiven. I've come to the point where I've learned forgiveness is an everyday thing. Forgive in the morning, forgive lunchtime, forgive in the afternoon, forgive at night before I go to sleep. It's something that I have to do every single day, every moment, because if I don't, it accumulates toxic elements that will not lead me in light, but will lead me astray. So community plays a huge part, being part of the Regenera Travel Summit, meeting the people that are, in love with nature, because for me, nature has always been one of the greatest expressions of the Creator's existence. And belonging to this new community. And I'm also part of the AHAM education community, where in this community, we work with wellness for young girls and women. And now we want to include boys, because everyone has a right to wellness, to well-being. When we met, I was invited by my friend's company, Aham Education. They are representatives before the United Nations. And she said, Sue, she saw what I was doing. She knew of Mujeres con Propósito. She was hearing my podcast and stuff. And she said, we have this opportunity, this platform at the Commission on the Status of Women. And I had always dreamed of something like that. And when the door was open, we went and we, listening to all the women that she had invited to be part of her global delegation at the UN, we all kind of came to the conclusion that, you can't tell someone how to be happy. Happiness is very, very subjective, but you can ensure that everyone has like a status of well-being, food, clothing, drink, meals, and dignity to work, and a sense of treating persons with respect, etc. You can establish a criteria for well-being, and that is what we have been working with Adam with Aham Education and their Girls Well-being Project. So the principles of Mujeres Kintsugi have been at work, and they have been at work because we have been to the commission for 3 years. We have presented three girl leaders, young girl leaders from the USA, Trinidad and Tobago, and Honduras. We were very proud to have our first girl leader coming out of Olancho. We had a young woman from San Pedro Sula, both of them 15 years old, and they had an opportunity to sit at an intergenerational meeting and share their situation, to be able to speak about it. And it still brings tears to my eyes when I think of, wow, my friend Nellie and I, to be able to stand as door openers for these young people to have experiences that we may not have had, but to open the door. This is what community is about. We take what we have done and we have become mentors. And now we are opening the door for other mentors to join our program of girls' well-being and to go forward. This is part of how Mujeres Kintsugi becomes action. From wound to witness, every scar carries a story, and every story can heal others. This is the essence of Mujeres Kintsugi HN. So for me, how do we apply what we have learned in Mujeres Kintsugi and what this journey to regeneration is about? Well, we want to move from brokenness to beauty, from pain to regeneration. And we do it through workshops. We can provide healing through art, storytelling, and faith. We did some of that when we we're at the UN. We hope to do more of that in Honduras. And if we're invited to anywhere else, we want to be able to bring the same. Leadership and empowerment, teaching resilience and regenerative practices for women leaders. This is something because we all have that story. We all need someone to witness that moving on, that process, that invisibility that made us feel undervalued, that made us feel that we were not validated. There's something powerful in just listening to someone and witnessing their transformation. Personal development, turning personal struggles into pathways of growth. Definitely, this is another way that Mujeres Kintsugi puts its skill sets to work. And community healing, collective regeneration through shared testimony and support. Here presenting this to you. And this is what it is we're doing. This is why I said yes to the Regenera Travel Summit, to be part of this and to bring forward walking the path of regeneration. This is what it's about. So I don't know if Dear Viana is there. This brings me to the close of my presentation. And I don't know if you have any questions.
I'm here, Suzanne. Sorry, my uncle came. I had to
That's
go and
okay.
open the door and welcome
No, that's
my
okay.
family. Yes, I'll watch it again in peace.
Yes. Like
Everything,
we're
but
saying to everyone, we invite you to a cup of coffee and a semita so that you can sit down and take in, because it's really and truly, it's been like an intensive masterclass of different elements that we've been experiencing throughout the summit so far. We have had inspirational experiences of cases. Like as an educator, I've been an educator for over 30 years, and what I see is the power of pioneering work in practice. So we invite communities. You get to learn from the leaders that are taking steps in circular economies, in regenerative practices, in turning waste into. I learned this from Caitlin Sockwell, and we're going to hear from Caitlin and they further on, where they talk about her passion for from she's a therapist, a physical therapist. She's a
Mm.
doctor of physical therapy, and she transitioned from that into the waste not spot, which is just someone she became passionate. What can I do? Because she was horrified by what was happening to the world through waste and waste being displaced. So the whole, I mean, just seeing the passion of other people. My passion may be art. Caitlin's passion is the transformation of waste, the transformation of healing and horses with Nicole. Florida's community outreach and the community, the responsible travel model of business. There are so many. Josie Benedict's bringing new people to her community, bringing opportunities in I mean, these are the things. Nellie's work with mindfulness, trying, they have a mission. They're on a path to help bring healing to people through mindfulness. I mean, everyone, Theodora's passion for what she's doing to connect people through her app. These
Yeah.
are people who in one moment experienced a situation that said, I don't like this. I don't want this. And it's reaching out to bring something new into it. And for that, I am very honored to be a part of the community. I am
Thank
very
you so
honored
much,
to
Suzanne. You're amazing.
bring my own 2 cents to this.
Oh, wow.
And we do hope that we can set up more workshops and invite you to our Mujeres Kintsugi in workshops. So that's all for me. That's a wrap.
Sorry, I must recognize you're a much better host than I am. Learning
It's the
from you.
practice. It's the
So bear
practice.
with me, please. Bear with me. And right now, I just had to welcome all my family. So, but
That's
what
okay.
I heard was amazing. Was great. I loved it. I really, uh, your faith and your commitment to the Lord, your love to Jesus Christ, that really resonates with me. And I love also working with people like faith-driven people. I'm also like in I go to startup church, and I'm also going to start an accelerator that is faith driven, because I also feel like our business are also like ministries, no? And we have to, and it helps
Yeah.
us bring light to
I
the world
can't
through love.
speak of my business and not speak of what God has done in my life.
Exactly.
I mean, I think
Glory to God.
I
Exactly.
would be unfaithful if I did that because I am who I am because of his presence in my life.
Yes.
The destruction that the enemy wanted in my marriage, we're still standing. We're still under one roof. We're still moving forward. It may not be at the velocity that others may want, but we are
Mhm.
moving forward. Our children are growing. We're, you
Yeah.
know,
And they're beautiful.
it's
Beautiful, very
it's
respectful children. I love your children. They're so nice. They're so loving. You have, I must tell you that Suzanne has done a great job raising those children. They are so educated, so smart, so talented. Like she's an example of a good mother. And I think her looking for the Lord and her faith and searching for his wisdom has also helped her in this path, knowing because it's not easy to raise children. I
when
think
you
I
say
don't
that,
have
if you ask my boys, they'll probably say, mommy, what I remember my son had to do a poem for Mother's Day one time, my older boy. And in it, he used the word aggressive. My mom's aggressive. You would think that, like, I mean, the balance, I've tried to teach them to, to respect integrity, to be able to be upfront. So they don't only get the loving, compassionate mom, they also get that in the
yes,
absence of certain strong
strict,
kind of discipline, you do need to
thin.
be, I mean, for me, I let them know, okay, your actions, you have to consider the consequences of them. And if your actions can lead you to jail, then my job is to prevent that. My job is to stand in the middle and said, stop. Hey, what are you doing? Take a look at what are you doing. And I think what I try to do with them is model how I speak to the Lord. So, like, I've heard a lot of women who've been through a situation similar to mine's, where when it came to like hiding it, or trying to not have the children exposed. One, because I came from a dysfunctional family where I saw my father was an alcoholic, and the loudness and the my mother experienced a lot of violence within that situation. For me, she really, really ingrained it into me. She wanted me to be independent. She did not want me to be in a situation at all to repeat what she had lived. And I am grateful for her, the seed of faith that she put into me. So really, I had not contemplated marriage at all. But really and truly, I think that the arrogance of my feminism, if that's something, I know we may have feminists out there and they may think, oh, it's not that. There comes a point, nature teaches us over and over that everything has balance.
Mm-hmm.
It's a balance.
Yes.
And the male and female, it's about balance. It's about balance and how we coexist.
True.
So I would say that in the arrogance of wanting to be all, do all, it's not about that. I think that's what Christ broke down in me. It's not about it. It's about the balance. So what I can do with my children, I have two boys in particular, is to teach them how I listen to the Lord, so
Mm-hmm.
that in their walk, they can discover their way of speaking to the Lord. And at some point in time, all of us can say, hey, mom, I heard this, and that they can figure it out. So my older son is walking in some of his prayers that have been answered. We've always talked about studying abroad. That was a huge thing. I had no idea. I thought that dream was under attack or almost destroyed, and it was amazing. My son gave up his dream to travel abroad given the circumstances we were living in. He was going to settle for something else, but he said he was angry. I told him, you can take your anger. God is big. God can hold space for us. God held space for my anger. God held space for my son giving up his dream. And then a phone call came from a friend that said, hey, why don't you try this recruiter? And then we went and we had a meeting. And then the recruiter says, like, what's the budget? I said, well, this is what's available. And he said, that can get you to Canada. And we were like, what? We took Canada off the table. Canada was off the table. It was not something we were contemplating anymore. Um, and it was incredible to see my son witness his dreams, to see God. I said, wow, look at how God is walking with you. And the university that he's at, Vienna, everything I dreamed, I wanted it. I love my university from Trinidad and Tobago, which is the University of the West Indies. It was built on the sprawling plantations of the past. So you had these large fields, beautiful trees. It's,
Um,
island life is just beautiful. And I wanted my son to be surrounded by academics and nature, and to be able to connect both of them. I read somewhere that knowledge without God really makes no sense at all. So I wanted him to be able to have the best of both worlds. And it's that. He got to experience winter. He got to experience the aurora borealis, which is on my bucket list,
amazing.
my little brother's bucket list. So the joy of having Christ in my life, for me, it's in my work. It's in how I communicate with people. It's in how, even when I make mistakes, I have to humble myself and say, I'm sorry. I have to figure out how to represent my God better. So it's not about perfection, but it's about trusting in his ministry, trusting in what he taught, and how to bring that forward through Mujeres Kintsugi to the best of my ability. And when I fail, I said, Lord, forgive me, help me get up. And he picks me up. And I want women to understand that, break down this idea of perfection. It's
Mm-hmm.
not about perfection. That perfection fallacy is it is destroying a lot of really, really, really great people. They are the social media visuals of it has to be a particular way. Who says it must be? Yes, we want to coherently communicate, We want to be cohesive, and that comes in with how we represent graphics and visual data and stuff like that. Branding, yes, but also how do we not lose our integrity in creating an image?
Right. I think that's also, I was also, we brought Fuck Up Nights to Honduras to talk about failures
Uh-huh.
in business, because I think also that's a big part, no, of entrepreneurship. We as entrepreneurs, no, we fail a lot, and we have
Yeah.
ups and downs, and it's important. Some people think that the successful business people have never failed, and it's probably the
Yeah.
people that have failed the most, no? But they get back up, they have resilience, they trust, many trust the Lord and have faith. So I think it's also important to share about our mistakes, our failures, our fears, so that other people, well, can learn from them, and also
Mm-hmm.
so that we can show vulnerability and our human side, no? Because yeah,
Yeah.
perfect only God. We are human beings and we are not perfect. We're always gonna be making mistakes, but we just don't have to make the same mistakes all over
One of
again.
my
No?
favorite verses is the one that says that pegado a la vid, cualquier, podemos
Exactly.
hacer lo que sea. I mean, I'm paraphrasing. I'm not a kind of person that can repeat verse. Like, I don't have that gift to like repeat the verse, but I do know because it's like inside myself.
Mm-hmm.
And there's one that says that, lejos de él, nada podemos hacer. But if we're connected to to that root, there is no limits to what we can do. And sometimes we forget that. We forget that in him we can do many things. And Mujeres Kintsugi is like when you're broken, your faith is like at its lowest. When you're going through a shattering, you don't even want to hear any positivity. You're just in this dark, dark place where it can be really destructive sometimes because you're in pain. And that pain can be violent, or the pain can be toxic, or the pain can come out in so many different ways. And I think that God saved me from myself. I think I is what Suzanne wanted to do, and what God said, obey me. And
Same,
I
same for
cannot say,
me.
oh, I had an encounter. I cannot pretend. It's not philosophy. It's not a history book. It's not a history story. I had
Yeah.
my encounter that no one can tell me that God is not real. I have lived, I live in his presence. And
Mm-hmm.
when he asked for my obedience, I could not say no. And I remember crying and saying, if I knew your obedience was going to be like this, I don't know if I would have done it. And I remember thinking, really, Lord? I mean, do I have to do this? And it's like it would be just God and I battling out some really dark emotions that I had. And
We have to battle,
I mean,
put light on on our shadows, no? Bring light to our shadows.
yes.
There's a process,
And
yes.
I think that's what this is about.
Yeah,
That's what Mujeres Kintsugi chain is about.
yeah, exactly. I feel very identified, and that's why I love chatting with you. I love speaking with you. I love your advices because, yeah, I also went through this dark night of the soul, and was very depressed. Felt like dead in even if I was breathing, no, but I was feeling dead,
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
only searching for the Lord, going, I was like the prodigal son that had left and was too much in the world. And only when I came back to the Lord, then I then is when I felt alive again, and it has been a process, but each day it's better, and I have a great peace and joy in my heart that I cannot explain. Happen whatever happens, and it comes from God. Now I know, and I know, I understand when you say that you feel you are in his presence. I feel this now, but yeah, it has been a process, and yeah, it takes like going to his word, meeting with other faith-driven people, praying. All this helps a lot. Meditating in his word too. So yeah, I would recommend everyone to do.
I will close by saying this, V, that you see, you said it. You said you felt that you came alive. And in the definition of regeneration that I have on the screen says, the process of renewal and growth is becoming stronger, more alive, and more whole after the loss or the damage. There's a strength that we discover in Christ. It is, for me, it's not about convincing people or telling them, hey, you got to do this. I share what functions and works for me. And
Mhm.
I hope that when people are lost or broken and they're seeking an answer, that when they encounter the activities or the practices or the workshops of Mujeres Kintsugi, somewhere along the line in that process, they will encounter God too. And they will have their own relationship unfold.
Exactly.
Because each of us has this creativity that's so unique to us, that we're each very, very unique. My voice comes out in the things that he gave me, the skill set that I have. Another person's skill set will probably song, dance, creativity, arts, plays. Tolkien and Lewis wrote books that today we still read. Chronicles of Narnia, The Hobbit, and the whole series. Why are these still here? These were men that sat and debated whether God was alive or is real or not. C.S. Lewis thought he was an atheist until
Mhm.
in his rush to prove that God was not real, he encountered God in that process. And when I read the Chronicles of Narnia, which by the way is one of my most favorite collections, there is a piece in it where Aslan the lion comes back and he's speaking to the children, and the children were concerned about an eagle follower, and they're like, Aslan, what's going to happen to the eagle soldier? He helped us out when we were lost. And Aslan looks at them and says, you still don't get it, do you, kids? He says, there's only me. Every faith believer will find their way to the Lord. And I just want to be in one pathway
Beautiful.
with Mujeres Kintsugi Ene to offer that to those who feel lost and broken, who find themselves in the wounding, in the loss, or in the crisis stage, and just open the doors so that we can walk the path of healing in the way that God has done it with me. That's what Mujeres Kintsugi is about. That's what my journey to regeneration is about. And the devotionals and all the stuff that we have, that's what it's about. And with that, I want to say thank you for, asking me to be part of this initiative. And I'm grateful, grateful for the
Oh, thank
opportunity and grateful for today, day 5. And later, we're going to go to the USA to hear from Alexander Easdale and his presentation on networking, which is something I think that is a skill most people don't understand how truly important it is building relationships. We can't have community without building relationships.
I completely agree. No, I am really grateful with you, Suzanne. You are amazing. All this wouldn't be possible without you. You have been a pioneer and such a supporter of this. You have been pushing me to get this moving forward, really. So I really thank you. I am sure God sent you to push this forward. And he already knew you were gonna be part of it. So I'm sure this was in God's plan, so that we did this together, because it is our project. It is something we're building together with you, Teodora, John, Bupendra, all of us, the community. And I wish you that God bless you immensely and gives you back much more than
Thank you.
what you give, because you give so much, Suzanne. You have a great heart. You are an amazing person. And I feel very blessed to have you in my life. Thank you, thank you, thank you, really. Goodbye.
Thank you, sweetheart. Thank you very much. And that closes us off